Our champions, we've made it to the very end of our series, Midlife Transition, 5 parts. This is the final, and we are going to take a deep dive, quick summary of everything we've covered so far. What's menopause? What's perimenopause? What are the symptoms? How do we identify them? How do we advocate for ourselves? We need to be empowered with knowledge so that we can live at our finest well-being. Thank you for hanging in with me through the whole series. Thank you for sharing. I'm guessing you subscribed and you're sharing with others. We have to do this together. We have to be healthier. We need to stop struggling and just pushing through and tugging through. It's nothing like feeling whole and vibrant and healthy. So I want to thank you in advance. If you've already shared, you've already subscribed and made comments and asked questions, this helps me extend my reach. For those of you that haven't, don't wait any further. All right, go ahead and subscribe. If you see me for the first time, my name is Dolapo Babalola. Dolapo Babalola. I am a family physician with additional training in lifestyle, obesity, and menopause care. And I have a direct primary care practice, which is holistic and integrative in Marietta, Georgia. I am very passionate about educating my community to live their best life. All right, so we've been doing this series for a bit now in honor of Perimenopause Month. I hope you found it beneficial. So let's get started. It's going to be a summary of everything that we've learned so far. And again, I just want to applaud you for being a part of this. All right, so let's start with an inspirational quote that says, "It's an exciting time for a rebirth. It is not the time to pack it up. It's the time to ask, now that I'm free, what can I do?" So this is by Halle Berry. I thought it was pretty interesting. Free, yes. The only way you can feel like this is if you're empowered and you know how your body is working, you understand what's going on, you're not confused and taken aback by all the changes in the body. So I think it's important that we have this conversation because 1 billion women worldwide will be in menopause by 2025. As long as you're a woman, you're going to go through it. And I spoke in the very first first video, that there are different types of menopause, right? There are those that will go naturally into it. There are those that would surgically for whatever reason. There's the early, there's the late. So please, if you haven't watched those, please go and watch it so that you understand. But in spite of all of this, many women have felt unheard, misunderstood, afraid of treatment. And there are reasons why. And that's why I'm doing this, so that we can be empowered, so that we know better. We know that when we know better, we do better. So my goal is to remove the fear, to create clarity so that we can strive. We can thrive in our well-being. So the 3 key highlights over the last 5 videos is understanding the different stages, right? Perimenopause, which is around menopause, right? 45 to 55, but it can start as early as symptoms anywhere the roller coaster, 4 to 7 years. Menopause is just that day after you don't have periods for 12 months, and then postmenopause is every time after that. All right. So what is happening? We know that the estrogen is the ice cream, the big hormone that takes care of the brain, the bone, the heart. It pretty much, we have receptors in all parts of our bodies. So that's just understanding that once our eggs have said they're retiring, we don't have the estrogen, we don't have the progesterone, and we don't have the testosterone. Breaking the myths. So part of what we shared is about the myths that are out there about hormone replacement therapy, bioidentical. Everything I've talked to you about is evidence-based, all right? It's scientifically proven, and safety is always first and paramount in my mind. And then we also talked about pathways to striving, all right? lifestyle medicine, personalized care options. And we took a deep dive into all of that. So let's very quickly, this is what I just shared, what's going on, right? Free is before the cycles. I mean, regular cycles, no issues. Hormones are stable. All right. People feel like themselves. Perimenopause is it's fluctuating. It's irregular. That's where the progesterone is on and off. Estrogen, the same thing. And menopause, again, you don't see any of those symptoms. And postmenopause is completely flat, 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 flat. All right. And then these are the symptoms that one will experience depending on which hormone is affected. So estrogen, as I mentioned, is the hot and the dry. It's the joint, it's the bones, it's the genital urinary syndrome of menopause, the musculoskeletal syndrome of menopause. All the things that you see over here is outlined: the skin, the nail, the hair. Energy-wise, that's estrogen, of course, testosterone, muscle, progesterone, is the anxiety, so there's all these symptoms that occur. And yes, the symptoms can mask other conditions like the thyroid, if there's hypothyroidism, sometimes hyper. So many things get masked, even depression. A lot of women are placed on antidepressants. Meanwhile, it's just menopausal symptoms. So we really need to take a good history, take a deep dive into these symptoms and figure out the root cause, because with the root cause, you can treat it appropriately. I mentioned the triad of hormonal balance, how we create stability, its lifestyle redesign, botanicals, and the bioidentical hormones. And I've mentioned the Women's Health Initiative. This is just a graphic of what led to all the horrors that we know of today. So, right when hormone replacement therapy was promoted as a fountain of youth, it was in the 60s, 90s, and then the study came out, and there was a panic in 2002, and from there people stopped using it. Everyone's afraid. They hear hormones, they think they're about to die of cancer. And yeah, so this is what was going on. And now in 2023, guidelines began to affirm that HRTs are safe with some certain guidelines. And then some of the hormones that we talked about is estrogen, right? The different estradiol, the bioidentical hormones, which I'm going to talk about some of those myths. They come in gels, patches, creams, tablets, so many. They're all outlined here. Same thing with progesterone. It comes in different, of course, the bioidentical option, which is FDA approved, is the Permetrum, and it's plant derived. It comes in a cream, it comes in a capsule. There's so many options. And what does it do? It helps to protect the uterus. It definitely gives us that calm and stillness back. And then the testosterone, which helps with our libido, energy, and mood and muscle, that comes in a cream form. All right. Unfortunately for testosterone, just so that you know, it's not yet FDA approved for women. All right. So hopefully that will change when it comes to symptoms, muscle, and all of that. It is, on the other hand, though, for people, women that have the hypoactive sexual desire, it is approved for that. Okay. So, and these are the ranges that you begin to see the benefits of the hormones. These are the different ranges. So for estradiol, you want to make sure that you're not on the synthetic type, because those are high levels of hormones, which when it's prescribed and it's taken, it shuts down the body's natural production of hormones and gives you this high level of synthetic. But estradiol is the natural one, and it helps with the brain, the bone, and the heart. And so for you to see the benefits, it's usually between that 50 to 100 kg per ml. And then for the progesterone, which affects sleep and mood, it's anywhere from 2 to 5 ng per ml. And then the testosterone, which helps with muscle, energy, and libido, is anywhere in the 30s to 50s. That's where we've seen evidence that there's a balance and there's feeling like yourself again. Okay, so let's talk about some of the facts and the myths out there. Certainly, I'm sure you've all heard hormones cause cancer. I do want to tell you that depends on the hormone. When we talk about bioidentical hormones, which is body's natural physiological hormones, it does not cause cancer. Look at it this way. If estrogen causes cancer, our estrogen levels when we're pregnant is as high in the thousands, but that's not the case. And we now know that breast cancer is not just, I mean, very minimal from genetics. It is more of environmental or lifestyle. So no, the hormones, bioidentical hormones don't cause cancer. That was false from the Women's Health Initiative. So with the right timing and the type of estrogen, we do not have cancer. Okay? No breast cancer. You're too old for hormones after menopause. Well, there was a time frame that they said usually if you're 10 years out, that the benefit is not as strong. So you want to have that one-on-one with your patients to determine what are the symptoms they're having. Is there still some benefit? But the sooner the better. And this takes me to the place where people tell you, well, I have not stopped seeing my period. I'm still seeing my period. Is there any place for me to have hormone replacement therapy? Yes, there is. It is based on your symptoms. There's a lot of long-term benefit for the heart, for the bones, right? So for all of this, you can start as early as possible, okay? Now, another question is menopause symptoms are just in your head. They are not in your head. It is real. It is a real thing. Not feeling like you can get up or move. I personally experienced not only genital urinary syndrome of menopause, which was it was just, I could not believe what was going on with me. And I had no idea until I did the research and I found out what was going on and what the treatment was. And also joints, bones hurting. I mean, I love to run and exercise, but I slowed down on it and I realized that I needed to lubricate, I needed to do more stretching. So it's not in our heads. We're not running crazy. We're not just wanting to be moody. So these things are physiological changes happening in our body. And once we know and we understand, then we can balance our hormones appropriately. Bioidenticals are natural, so they're always safe. Yes, as long as they're FDA approved bioidentical, which you can get from your regular pharmacy. They don't all have to be compounding. All right. Compounding, they're not FDA approved, but you have to make sure that it's from a functional pharmacy and they know what they're doing. So you have to make sure you get it from the right place. Compounding still needs monitoring. Like I say, you have to monitor, know where you're getting it from. All right. You need to have that conversation. I use a compounding pharmacy, 3 functional pharmacies, and we have that correspondence. We have the question. We have the conversation about what is safe. If for any reason, maybe because of cost or maybe because it's not being covered, then I go to compounding pharmacy. But again, I just want to reiterate that the bioidenticals are FDA approved and you can get it from your regular pharmacy. A lot of them will be covered by insurance. If I use a compounding, it's because maybe the patient wants to combine estrogen cream with testosterone cream. So again, there's a lot to discuss here. This is just touching the surface, but you want to have that one-on-one conversation with your provider, your physician. Another question is hormone therapy prevents aging forever. That is, it's definitely, it relieves those symptoms, but you want to have a holistic lifestyle choices equally. Okay, remember I talked about lifestyle redesign, very important. You need that. It's not just hormone. Hormone is not going to fix everything. All right. For me, I used the vitamin E capsules, and that helped me with genital urinary. I made sure that I was staying hydrated with my joints. I was making sure I move, making sure that I was eating well, reducing anti-inflammatory foods, and that made a big difference. Now, for some people, they might need to be on bioidentical hormones. It depends on your symptoms. You need to have that one-on-one conversation with your physician that is knowledgeable and the different options that are available for treatment. All right, if I skip hormones, I will get osteoporosis or heart disease. Again, this speaks to the first thing I said. Hormones, it doesn't answer all the questions. You still have to do the lifestyle. You still have to do the lifestyle. All right, it's so important. Those are powerful protectors. And then coming to the last two, hormones make you gain weight. So I've heard this. I've had a few patients that have said that, but at the same time, I've had a few patients that said, "Oh, that mid waist fats and fat deposition has gone away. That's because estrogen, in the absence of estrogen, fat is just deposited in the abdomen." So I've heard that, and I was very pleased because that was a big deal for a patient that at least two or three have told me that. Now, I haven't had any patient tell me that they gained weight. I've heard a few people say they felt they were getting some bloating sensation, and that's because of the progesterone. So you definitely need to have that conversation, and that's why you have to be monitored. My patients are monitored. You shouldn't just be on bioidentical hormones and just left to go. So you have to be monitored. So for that particular patient that had the bloating, we went down from the progesterone, the micronized progesterone from 200 to 100, and she felt better. Okay. All right, then. Last one, only severe symptoms need treatment. Yeah, well, that's not the case. You don't want to wait to when things become severe. You want to be proactive. You don't want to be reactive. So hormones help, but again, everything works together. Okay, so I hope I was able to debunk some of those myths that are out there. I think those are the common ones. If you think of any that I didn't mention, please send me a message. I will be happy to go over that with you. These are some helpful resources that I would love to leave you with. Podcast, empower yourself. Listen, don't just believe anything I say. Do your own homework, right? Do your own homework. So there are podcasts all around. Menopause Reimagine is a great one. Books that you can read. There are definitely websites like the Menopause Society. That's where I got my training from. And Let's Talk Menopause is very friendly, patient friendly, community friendly. So these are all the resources that you can use to empower yourself. Don't just listen to any influencer. Make sure it's evidence-based. And these are some of the books that I have. I have some with me. When I started educating myself, I started reading, getting, people that are doing the work that have been trained adequately. So I started there and really feel empowered. And I love that I can take care of my patients adequately. I love it when they come in and they say, "That worked. I feel better. I have more energy." So these are some of the books. I haven't read all of these, but I just wanted to put these here as resources. All right. So again, I really feel honored that you've been with me during this 5-part series. It's a very important topic, very, very, very important topic, and the buzz is everywhere, but still people are being turned around or not listened to. So I definitely want you to follow me as I continue to educate my community about health-related topics that will enable them live at their finest well-being. I do have a podcast, Living at Your Finest, and Instagram, Facebook. I would love for you to connect with me there. I do have a newsletter on my website. Subscribe and you will be in tune with all topics and events. I do what I call mindful moments weekly. So join me, okay? I would love to be part of your world. So thank you again. I do have ebooks on my website. You can just find it /ebooks and it will be dropped right in your box. I promise not to spam your email because I do not like people constantly sending me emails, but it will be at least once or twice a week that you will get an email from me. So that has been fun. I've enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. Thank you again. Let us all feel empowered. Let us know that this is not an illness. It is what we're going through. And the more we know, the better we're equipped. All right. So until another series, take care and God bless.